Training dogs is a lot of fun if you know how to go about it. Also, training can be as enjoyable for the dogs as it is for the owners. If you take the time to understand your dog, it will be more than willing to try and please you. For pet owners, the most common and troublesome problems are dogs which do not get on with other dogs or people, dogs which destroy your house and garden and upset the neighbours, and dogs which jump up, pull on leash, or fail to come when called. These are just some of the topics we will be dealing with in our series of 4 videos. In this video, we're going to concentrate on socialization, confidence building, and beginning puppy training. When we take on the responsibility of a new puppy and we invite it to live in our home, we must remember it doesn't speak our language, so it doesn't understand a thing we say. It's not familiar with our rules and regulations either, so it has no idea how to behave. It's up to us to teach it. As a veterinary surgeon and an animal behaviorist, I've had 20 years' experience at this, so I do know the methods that work. All of our puppies are between 12 and 18 weeks old. It's never too early to train a puppy, and it's never too late to teach an old dog new tricks. It just takes longer. So if you want to make it easy on yourselves, it's best to catch them young, so that you can teach them your rules before they start to make up their own. It's so important that training is easy and enjoyable, because if it's not, you won't do it. First what we'll do is I think we'll have the little dogs off leash first and we'll see what happens there. So let's have Sophie and Chico and Gizmo. All right, and they're going to just run around like little wind-up toys. Don't worry about it. I think because they're little, it's always a good idea to have the little guys go first. Just totally ignore them. Don't touch them, don't look at them, don't motivate them, don't push them. The little dogs have to get their sniffs in first. Wouldn't it be weird if humans were the same relative sizes of dogs, you know, and you came today and your trainer was 200 feet tall? Little dogs will occasionally get trodden on. One of the things they have to learn, and one of the reasons they're here, is if you are small and if you are a little scared, please don't yelp and please don't run. Because if they yelp and run, whichever dog is there will chase them and start nipping at them. Now, it may happen in this play session, but within the first play session, the dog will learn, if you're scared, stay still. That's what they have to learn before they go out in the park. If you have a little dog off leash in the park and it yelps and runs, the other dogs are going to chase it. So that's basically what the little dogs are going to get out of this, and you can thank the people for bringing these great big bruisers like the Bernese here, who is a wonderful big dog to teach little dogs don't be scared. On the other hand, something like a pointer or a Labrador is a horrible big dog to teach little dogs don't be scared, because the lab's view to life is like they socialize like a low-flying Exocet missile. Yeah. Vroom. Right, let's let Shogun and Tess off leash. They aren't little dogs, obviously, but I think Tess is obviously going to do a lot today. She's going to lie there and do a very good downstay. Let's start with downstay with Tess, shall we? I always believe in getting success as soon as possible. It's good. Why don't you let the noisy fellow off too? Grolsch. Good. And let's have the red setter and then the crazy guys off as well. The golden and the lab and the pointer. Good. These puppy play sessions may look like fun, and of course they are, but there's more to it than that. Play is a vital ingredient of a young dog's education. A dog that's well socialized as a puppy will grow up to be relaxed and confident in the company of other dogs, and trustworthy and friendly with people. If it's friendly, it won't be apprehensive or aggressive, so it won't be inclined to fight or bite. However, one word of warning. No dog is ever 100% reliable. In extreme circumstances, even the best socialized dog may be provoked into biting. But because it has been well socialized, it will have developed bite inhibition. and therefore the damage is likely to be less serious. Yeah, that's good. And what you find here, little Bichon is really friendly with people. It's the dogs which are frightening it. So if we really think about what's important, what's most important in a dog is it likes people. So that's the most important thing. One of the prerogatives you have with a little dog is you can just pick it up if you meet a dog it doesn't like. That would be very difficult with Shogun. It's essential that we get Shogun here socialized with other dogs because you can't pick the dog up on the street. At the moment, Jinta's hiding under the chair, but that's fine for the little terrier cross to come up and sniff. See, we don't want dogs that put their nose right in your face quickly. We want a dog that moves slowly. So the shy guys really help each other socialize. The last thing you want to meet when you're shy is, say, a red setter. That is not what we want to meet. Now again, that type of growling there from Shogun, totally ignore that in this setting, okay? If we respond to him at all, he thinks, oh good, they like it when I growl. Why is he growling, do you think? He's scared. Yeah, that's all. Now this is really, it's an absolute classic. If you get a dog coming to class and it's really scared, it usually means it has another dog at home. And so let's put ourselves in Shogun's shoes and what's happened here. Shogun's been at home with his buddy, right? Playing like a maniac. And what have we done there? We've learned to play with one other dog, our best friend. Mum puts him in her car, comes over to this weird place with all these weird, strange dogs. I mean, Labrador retrievers and stuff like that. Very un-shepherd-like. All these strange people in a weird place. Shogun says, I don't know them. And then Shogun says, and where's my buddy who's at home? And he just falls apart, that's all. And we just give him a day, another day, and he's fine. But what it means is you want to do a lot of stuff with this guy on his own. So you want to leave his buddy at home and then walk Shogun around the street. So Shogun meets the environment and other dogs on his own. Now here we got a real nice situation with the Yellow Lab and Benson. Benson really wants to play. He's a happy, playful dog, but he's not seen anything like this Labrador before. Okay, so Benson's just playing it cool, staying in there. As soon as the lab turns away, you'll notice he goes to approach. That's the way it is. Wow, that was amazing. Whoa, hey! Doing a Labrador impersonation. Whoa. Then he meets the real Labrador and says, well, I'm not up to that standard yet. And what you're seeing here, okay, is the paw coming up is saying, I want to play. The teeth and the barking are saying, I just can't do it, okay? I can't manage this. This is too frightening for me. Every time you see that paw come up, it's saying, I really want to play. Good dog. Good dog, Shogun. Good boy, Shogun. See Shogun there following Grolsch's rear end. Rear ends are fine. What we can't take is that dog coming into your face, and that's when we get scared. Okay? Good. And shush, shush, Shogun. Shush, Shogun. Let's just, with this pointer here, if he tries to put his paws on it, just stand up. Let's not start the habit of jumping up here, or else we'll have a really interesting case to defuse later on. So just stand up, and then there's nothing to jump on. And make sure if you pet the dog, that if you push away, they love it. One thing that dogs love is when you push them down. So you just stand up, and then you get your hands down here, okay? And we can scratch like this. It's a very good idea, everyone to keep their collar on the dog when they let it off leash. It's very difficult to grab without a collar. So if you have then I would go out and get a nice sort of, a real cheap collar for puppies. Why? Because they're growing so quickly, you're going to have to buy several collars. So get a cheap collar, but it's there to hang the dog's tags on. It's just a safety thing in case the dog gets lost. I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like, for what it's worth. I really hate leashes like this. I'll explain why. If the dog starts pulling on you, if you do that and that dog pulls, you find you're short a few fingers. This is a terrible hand trap for children. Now, you don't have kids with you, right? Yeah. You do have kids, yeah. And it's like kids, they put the leash on, and next thing you know, they've done that. The dog pulls, you can't get much control. I really like a really expensive leather leash like this. 5 feet, 6 feet, 3 feet's fine. I like about 6 feet so the dog can sniff a bit, but it's leather, and you're going to tell the dog, you do not chew on this. One of the dangers for getting a cheapo leash or for getting a metal leash is the dog chews, so we get a metal leash. So it's hard to control and it hurts your fingers. Or we get a cheapo leash, or we get a bit of rope, and the dog chews. And the danger there is if the dog just chews on it a bit, you don't know how strong it is. Once you've paid for a leather leash, I know you will not let the dog put his teeth on it. If you do, you'll say, "Hey, get off!" And the dog will quickly, let go. So I really like nice, expensive leather leashes, thank you, and then cheapo collars. Okay, and there you go, right. And why? Because you're going to buy 2 more collars before the dog's full grown. Then get a nice, expensive rolled leather collar. Human nature to ignore all the dog's good behavior only to moan and groan when it does something wrong. If a dog does something right, we must let it know. We're pleased with it, so praise the dog. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Not for most people it isn't. What I want you to do is to role play and pretend that I'm a little red setter puppy or a little cocker puppy, and I'm going outside and I take a wee. So what I want is some nice praise. I want to go round the room now. Start with Tess's owner here. Go on, praise me.
Yeah, good boy, he's a good boy.
Good, all right, yeah, okay. Your turn.
Who's a good boy, good boy?
Clap your little hands, good. And you.
Who's a good boy then?
Let's try it again.
Who's a good boy?
Yes, try clapping your hands. That helps. He's a good dog, good dog. Okay.
Good dog, good boy.
Oh, this is with feeling. It's almost Italian. I mean, this is good, okay? Right, here we go.
Good boy, good boy.
Good.
Boy.
You praise me.
That's a good boy.
That's
good boy.
nice, good.
Good boy.
Good boy. Yes, fine. Let's do it again. Come on.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, I haven't got my makeup on. Oh, what can I do? Come on, praise.
Good boy.
Good boy, good boy. That's the right.
Good boy, good boy.
Hey, that was high on the post, obviously, right? Yeah, that was incredible. Okay, off you go.
Good boy, good boy.
Good.
Good boy, good boy.
Good girl, good girl.
Very good.
There's a good boy.
Nice, nice.
Good boy.
That's better. It was like it was meaningful. It was quiet, but it had quality. You know what I mean? A praise that I think would travel well. Okay, not bad. Right. We've taught the owners how to praise the dogs. Now let's teach the puppies to do something to earn that praise. We don't bully the pups into doing things they don't want to do. We don't punish them. We don't hit them. And why not? Because we don't need to. We simply use training lures to entice them to want to do what is right, and then praise and reward them for getting it right. And what do we use as a lure? Well, there's one thing all dogs love. What we got here is a little bit of food. Okay, and if we move this food, we can get the dog's nose to move. And when we move its nose, then the rest of the dog moves. So it comes out towards me and sits, and I take it by the collar. Okay, let's go through it again. Food on the dog's nose, and we back up. Come here. Come. It's a good dog. It comes in close, we lift our hand up, it sits, take hold of the collar, gotcha, then you get the food. So let's think about all the things that we're doing there. We're using the food as a lure so that it can make the dog's nose move. I can say, look at Bruce. Do you like Bruce? Yes, I do. Did you pee on the carpet? No. Okay. Or by lifting it up, if we can get the dog to look up, it sits down. That's just basic canine engineering. You cannot look up without your rear end going down. I mean, you can try this yourselves if you like.
by, and I don't want to embarrass you all, but if you get all four paws on the ground to look at the ceiling, you can't do it unless you do that. And that's what we're trying to do here by getting this dog to look up. It keeps it sitting down, okay? We can also, if we bring the food down here, get the dog to lie down, okay? And we can do all this with a big moose of a dog without pushing it or pulling it around. In fact, without even putting our hands on it, which is very, very important for a number of reasons, which I'll explain later. Okay? Now, with a big dog, something that's very difficult when it's lying down to get it sitting up. So we'll see if we can do that and energize Shogun. Shogun, sit, sit, sit. Good dog. There's a good dog. And as well go down again. Whoop. Dum, 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 dum. And the nice thing about this training method is it doesn't matter how long it takes. You know, if Shogun decides, I'm not ready to lie down yet, or I'm not ready to sit up yet, we say, fine, okay, no food as a reward. Because if the dog does it, we've got a real neat reward right here in our hands. It's a little bit of food. But we're really using it in two very, very different ways. We use the food to get the dog to move his nose, so to get the dog to come towards us, to get him to sit up, to get him to lie down. Okay? And if we think it's good, we can say, hey, take it. And you can have this little bit of food as a reward. All right? That's very good, Shogun. Benson, want to go? Okay, come on, okay. There's a good dog. Woohoo. Very good. Another bit. I want to go back to sleep. All right, okay, that's fine. That's understandable. Okay. Now, if the dog does that and says, that was fine, I'll come for a treat. I don't want to do any more. Just say, fine, sit down. Okay, we'll train later. Okay, let's work with Jazz. Come here, and then sit. It's up here, silly. Sit. So we can get you to lie down. It's the hard one. Okay. Now, if the dog stands up, we have a completely different problem on our hands. Okay, if the dog's sitting, it's much, much easier to get it to lie down. Once it stands up, it's much harder. So you just keep trying. We can try it out for like a minute, see what happens. And what we wanted to do is to put the side of its cheek on the ground like that. So I'm holding the food like this, palm down. And that's a good sign, good dog. Okay? So we wait until the forepaws go down and the sternum goes down and the rump just collapses. And you just have the patience, and if the dog says like Benson, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, thank you very much, then we say, fine, we'll do it later on, all right? The dog, on the other hand, is like Jazz and is all keen, right? We do it now. We just keep trying. Let's work with someone else. Jake, and sit. There's a good dog, very good. Okay, let's try come here again. Come over here, I'm sorry, we're going to train right over here. And sit, and down. There's a good dog, and there's a treat. Very good dog. So you see also what we're doing is each time we do it, we're asking a little more for less. That because Jake was so it's like a sack of potatoes there, just if he gets up and comes to me, I'm going to give him a treat. But I'm not going to keep on doing that. I mean, it's kind of like if a kid, gives you a bit of paper with 2 + 2 = 4 on it. And the first time they do that, you think, oh, wow, my kid can add up, and he's only 11. But if they did that when they were 42, you wouldn't be impressed, would you? Neither would I with the dog. Coming is sufficient for a treat if you're tired, but once we've done that, you have to come and sit. And once you come and sit, now you've got to come and sit and lie down before I'm willing to give you the treat. Now, little dogs are much harder to start off. These big lumbering dogs that we're working here, it's much easier to get them to sit, to lie down, and to stand. With a little dog, you need a lot more patience. But the deal is, good dog. You hold on to the food, eventually the dog will do it, and then you give the dog the food as a reward. And I don't really see with a little dog much point in opening my mouth and telling the dog to do anything until I know that my hand can get it to do it. So we just play around and we watch it move. And just if it moves its head, and this is really nice, I'll give it a bit of food. So I'm training the dog to follow my hand. Eventually this food lure movement will become a hand signal. Good dog. And the dog is actually being trained to watch my hand, and I'll just give a hand signal and I expect it to do it. So the stand's an easy one. Let's go back into the sit again then. Good dog. Now we go for a really difficult one. Okay, a down with a little dog. No, not quite there. Good dog. In early training, it's okay if you give the dog a treat when it's halfway there, but after a while, you want to make sure it goes all the way. And down. That's impressive. It's very good, yes. It's not what we want, but it's very good. Good dog. Oh, that's very impressive. Let's start with these two first. Are you ready? Put food on his nose, see if we can get them to sit first. Sit. Well done. Shogun's winning. Come on, we're waiting for Benson. Have him sit. Good. And down. Palm down, down, all the way down. Good. And sit again. Stand up and sit. You've got to waggle it. He's a hard dog. Sit. Waggle, 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 waggle. Good, come on. Good dog. Sit. That's it. Good dog. And give it to him. Drop it on your hand. And how's Sophie doing? We not taking any food? Don't worry about it. What I would do is, in fact, what we're going to do is just take Sophie off leash. And we'll let Sophie run around and annoy people. Okay? And you can sit yourself down. Someone spat some food out there. So just sit down and take a break, and we'll let Sophie annoy other dogs. Now, sometimes in training, you're trying to work your dog, and it's distracted. Well, that's tough. Sophie, that is exceedingly rude. This is adult entertainment, not canine X-rated movies. So, I meant distract the dogs, but not seduce them. Okay. Here's a little word of warning for you. If you're trying to get the dog to sit and the dog jumps, human nature is to go, that's how you train dogs to snap and lunge and jump. Don't do that. Lower your hand a bit. This is very important when children are working with the dogs. You'll see them do this all the time. When the dog jumps at their hand, they go, and they squeak, and that really makes dogs jump up. And stand, take a step back, stand, and down. Here's a difficult one. Your hand down. You have food treat in the other hand. What you got to do there is get that hand behind your back, yeah. And if the dog takes his nose off here, you waggle this like mad. Otherwise, put it palm down, hold it thumb on your palm, and just wait. This is the difficult one, okay? But this is the one you need with this wriggly, noisy, whiny dog. Because when it's lying down, there's a good 50 things it can't be doing. Here we go. That looks good. Keep your hand still. Whenever you see the front of the dog, here we go. We're just starting there again. You had a real close go, followed by a nice face lick. Here we go. Good dog. All right. Well done. Okay. Right. Sit yourselves down. Very nice, both of you. Right. Let's have Murphy and Tess. Here we go. Oh, look at Tess. Wonder dog. Wonder dog. And sit up. Well done, Dad. And sit again. Let me take the noose off her neck. Okay, and then, there we go. And sit up again. Come on, tandem sits. Both dogs sit. Good, and stay. Sit, keep your hand up in the sit. And keep it there. Sit, and down. Good, and sit. Very good. Don't flack your hand around. It's like a little kid's hand there. Good, and stand again. Stand. Good, and down.
Down. Down.
Boom. Very nice. Okay, back to your places. Not bad at all. Boy, Tess was the star of the class, I think. My God, that's amazing.
Once we can lure the dog into position by saying the words just a fraction before moving our hand, sit, down, or stand, the dog will learn the meaning of the commands. Also, our hand movements will become hand signals for sit, down, and stand, at which point the lure becomes unnecessary.
So much of dog training is people training, and so much of people training is your body and actions. When you're working with your dog, it is going to mimic what you do. It will take your behavior, it will magnify it, and it will throw it back out at you. So you are great owners for this guy to teach a downstay. To get this guy moving, you're not going to get him moving quickly. You have to be super duper hyper fun to get the dog to move. You have a big sack of potatoes of a dog. Okay, on the other hand over here, with Grolsch, or with the pointer, with Jasmine, just going, good dog. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? All right? What I'll be teaching them is how to calm down. I first want to work on hand signals, because you're going to be doing this tomorrow. So I want everybody, hold your hand out. It sounds stupid, but it's not. Trust me. Palm up and say, sit. Good, that's impressive. Sit. Nice, sparky hand signal. Sit. Okay, if you go, sit. You'll have a dog that goes, sit. Okay, what we want is when you go, sit, the dog goes. And to get that degree of attention out of the dog, you've got to have a sparky hand signal. So we're going to have palm upwards for sit, palm down for down. So sit. Everybody. Try and do it all at once, right? And I'll sit. You want me to sit? I'll do it. Okay, sit and down. Sit. I can't do the down. Right, down. Sit. And do it again. Sit and down. And sit and down. You've got it. Good. Let's have Jake's owner. Why don't you stand up? You did. That's incredible. You know what I was going to say?
What's a reward?
Oh, that's incredible. What am I going to say next? No. Sit down. Okay. Right. Stand up. Sit down. Stand up. Sit down. Stand up. Sit down. Now let's just listen to the two things you said. Okay. One was kind of politely but sarcastically. This is fun. Okay. The next one was, this is stupid. What was I doing when I was working with Murphy? Stand up, come here, sit, stand up, sit, stand up, sit. Do you think for one moment that Murphy ever says, this is stupid? I mean, what would have happened if I had had you do that for 50 times in a row? Would you have done it 50 times in a row? No. When would you have given up?
Probably about 10 times.
10? That's pretty good. So actually, you are a Labrador type person. No, that's true. The average Labrador, first time out, will do it about 10 times in a row. And you can test this at home. Take a single food treat, and you go sit down, sit down, sit down. An average Labrador will do 5 doggy push-ups. Sit down, sit down. That's a doggy push-up. They'll do 5, which is 10 behaviors in a row. And then they say, this is stupid. And they don't do it. And then we get mad at them and say, he's being stubborn. I'm going to make him do it. All right? Now, this will be a phase in training. There will be a time much later on where we are going to say to the dog, look, you have to do this anyway. I'm sorry, but you've got to do it. But that comes later. At the moment, first we're going to teach the dog the meaning of the commands we use. The meaning of the hand signal. That's basically phasing the food out as a lure. When they understand what the word sit means, when they understand what the hand signal sit means, now your goal is to teach the dog the relevance of doing all this. Just because your dog knows what sit means doesn't mean to say the dog's going to do it forever any more than you would stand up and sit down for me. The whole exercise is ridiculous. Unless I put my hand in my wallet, as this fellow said, and showed you a 50 spot, and said, could you do a little demonstration for me? I mean, everyone in the room, this guy probably stand up, sit down, and we haven't even moved yet. You make it relevant.
Puppies are so cute, people often turn a blind eye to their mischievous ways. But it's just not fair to let them get away with behavior like this when they're young, because invariably it'll get them into deep trouble later on. When a dog becomes a problem, it's nearly always the owner's fault. But it's usually the dog that pays. I don't deserve to be incarcerated in this place, but neither do these poor dogs. Unfortunately, this is what happens to them when no one takes the time to teach them just basic manners. They end up living in cages like this. Let's talk to Mike Ward. He runs this place. He'll tell you. Mike, you got a fine collection of dogs here. How on earth did they end up here?
Well, all sorts of reasons, but I mean, you've got the odd cruelty case, but most of them because people have really not knowledgeable enough about dogs. They take them on without understanding what they need and end up ditching them because they can't cope with them.
What sort of problems do they have?
Well, they don't realise if you're out at work all day, the dogs get sat at home bored, they don't train them, so the dog becomes a nuisance, and rather than attempt to cure the nuisance, it's easier just to get rid of it.
So what happens to them? What chance do these dogs have here?
Well, they've got a good chance. We're home about 90% of them, but they do need work on them. This is one of the problems. We get nice people coming along to adopt the dogs, but often they expect a perfect dog, and in fact in a place like this they're taking on dogs which are almost like puppies. They have to be started from scratch, and I think those people are very brave actually.
Who's this guy who brought me? Hey, good lord. Hey guy, let me have his leash. I think I got him. Alright, what's his problem, if he has a problem? Steady guy.
Removed from unsuitable accommodation.
Unsuitable accommodation, what does that mean? It was a one up, one down, or are we talking about the people here?
Flats. He's a very big, boisterous boy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like other animals at all.
Ah, okay. All right, then we'll see what we can do with him. Thank you, Angie. All right. Obviously, the best time to start training a dog like this is when he's a puppy. Well, he's not. He's full grown now, so the only time we can train is right now. Let's have a go. Hey, Jasper, come here. Sit. Oh, he's a good dog. Yes, you're a very clever dog. Go on, then. Let's go. Steady. Good dog. With a dog this size, you've got to know when he's about to pull on the leash, because once he pulls on leash, it's too late. Now, Jasper's had a time for a sniff around, so it's time to get back to a little bit of training again. Jasper, come here. Hey! Sit. Good boy. You ready? And heel. And sit. And down. Oh, very good. Good dog. Good dog. I'm praising you there for lifting his paw up. That's a sign that he's about to lie down. Sooner or later, maybe next fortnight, but we're trying, aren't we, buddy? Okay. We'll do some more. Sweet, Jasper. Good boy. Now, he's growling when we get him to lie down here, and what this tells me is his previous owner did some games with him, play fighting when he's on the ground. Either his owner forced him down, so Jasper's associated lie down with bad news time and he's growling, or he's associated being on the ground with the owner as playtime. Come on. Lie down. There's a good dog. Yeah, you can see that there. He's obviously, this has been a game for him. And all this growling's coming out, and, probably all that happened was we played a game with a little puppy. Isn't it fun to play with him growling on the ground? Then it grew into this. And that's what gets dogs in trouble. Doesn't it, Jasper? Eh?
Now, adult dogs like Jasper can be retrained with patience. Much more difficult, though, would be to change his attitude towards other animals. That's why puppy play groups are so essential.
This is a real nice, slow-moving pace for Shogun here. Okay? So he's not being bumped, he's not being snapped at, he's just being gently having his face vacuumed by a bloodhound. It's just a very enjoyable experience, and we will learn it's no big deal. So, we'll probably trot on out again after a while. Is Ginty biting Sophie's head?
He's trying to be a lion, I think.
Right.
Definitely inhibited biting.
You see that the big one doesn't chase him. It's the big one's always going away from
Oh, there aren't too many dogs that chase shepherds. So shepherds don't get chased a lot, so when it happens, they think, whoa. And you'll actually find that, say, Sophie will be a lot more reliable when chased because we've been chased so much more. But that's what I found with my dog. It's a big dog, and no one ever chased it. And it told me one day, I wish someone would chase me. So I said, all right, I will. And we played this game of tag.
How many people did you meet today? 10 people? 20? How many dogs did your dog meet? You see, on a usual day, it's one, the one we live with, or none.
Yes.
And you think how insular dogs' lives are.
So it's interesting now, you see, we're starting to develop through exactly the same stages as Shogun.
Yes.
We want to play so badly, but we can't. And so what comes out is, whoa, whoa, whoa. You see, play bow and tail wagging, paw raising, all saying, I want to play. And the bark basically saying, I can't do it yet. And in a dog like this, we think, isn't that cute? In a
Yes.
shepherd or a Rottweiler, we think, oh my God.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
But basically, the dog
Yes.
is just a little scared. Paw raise.
That's a sign of play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, paw raising. Front quarters down. That woof, and sometimes a growl. Woof.
Yes.
It's a solicitation to play, which will frighten the life out of people depending on the breed of the dog.
Yes.
See, so we would allow this bark now for a while, and then the same thing as Shogun. After a while, we say, right, shush,
Shut it.
do it quietly. Yeah, we're starting to warm up now.
Takes
And-
time to be wound up.
Yeah. And what she has to learn as well is, and this is the ideal dog to teach her, is when you do your paw raise, you don't squish me into the ground. And a nice little dog like this will react, you know.
But he's not doing.
No, no. But he will do. I mean, he has, if you notice, the way he plays is completely different than with Shogun.
Yes.
And that will come later. But at the moment, Chico's being really gentlemanly and very, very sweet. Because he's picking up signs that we're scared, but it will start to wire up very quickly. And you cannot tell the difference between a play growl and a real growl, except for context. And the context that you see here, what I read is, both these dogs are enjoying this. This is fun. But the sound, when it really gets going, can sound just like a real growl. And so it's really contextual. You're looking for things like what we call the atmosphere cues. Do they go into play bows? Do they raise their paws? Do they smile? Do they put their tongues out? And these are all signs of saying, I'm friendly and I want to play. So now we got wild and woolly dogs, but you can get your little shy dog back just by bringing in Shogun.
Yes.
Okay, and if we had Shogun and Ginty together, Ginty would probably be shy again. But because these two are playing, and we know Shogun and Chico play, if we have all three together, what you'll find is Ginty will socialise quickly, very, very quickly.
Will they play, or will they choose company and three's a crowd?
Well, that's the good thing is that now Ginty can watch and we aren't scared because we've seen this and we've enjoyed it. And it now becomes like a habit, like a cigarette. Now Ginty wants it. And so Ginty will want to play with Chico, but Shogun's playing with Chico, so that
So
brings
what
them
happens
together. We'll find out if you like in a minute. Let's get Shogun in then, see what happens to Ginty now. Just plump Shogun. Not quite so boisterous. This is good. This is what we call a preference test. Chico's saying, I think I want to chase the shepherd around. It's more fun trying to mount the shepherd. I know, this is amazing. Why don't you just grab Chico, pick Chico up real quickly. Good. It's another little exercise you want to do all the time. Plonk Chico down again. Whenever dogs are playing and getting wound up in the play session, just go over and take hold of their collars or pick them up to check that you could. Okay, and it's best to...
Out of control.
And if that dog touches your fingers with its teeth, ow! You scream as if it really hurt you. It's a wonderful little exercise. Saves you getting bitten in a dog fight later on. Can you take hold of Shogun? Just... Good grab. This is confidence building time. Ginty growls in Shogun's presence, a major step forward.
Yes, you don't have to have a look see the reaction, do you?
Keep checking to the power, we call that. You'll find a very good correlation between rank in dogs is who is the most glanced at. And that dogs glance up in the hierarchy. They always check to the power and see, was that okay?
Who's the pack leader?
Little glances, yeah. Stares are the other way round. It's the top dogs that stare at the younger ones, but these little glances like, whoa, whoa. You can make a nice hierarchy out of that. Go on, Shogun. Ginty hasn't realised yet that Shogun's, oh my god, oh dear, sniffing my rear end. I was totally unprepared for that.
Waving his tail, though.
Whoa. Ooh. Nose to nose. That's good. The butt swing. Pick Chico up, shall we? Yeah, just grab hold. That's good. Oh dear, I got up. That could have been a mistake, Mum.
Sorry.
Perhaps I should. No, I'm thinking what your dog's saying. we stood up.
Sorry.
No, that is the right thing to do. Very good. Now we've gone back to shy Ginty again. That calmed things down, that. I'll keep Ginty put. Little yawn, that's a real low level stress sign when dogs yawn. You always want to watch for that in training because it tells you you're pushing the dog just a little bit too hard and fast. So we watch for that here and we think, well, we want to lighten things up quickly. I think what we'll do to get some of the energy out of the dogs, we'll just let them off leash right now. Now, while the dogs are playing, I want to talk about two things. Number one, it's a very good idea when the dogs are playing just to take hold of their collar, give them a treat, let them go again. The dogs are wired up now and excited. And so let's practice grabbing them when they're excited, when they are happy and excited. Okay, that's good, that's good. Just in your hand. Now, gently, let him go. That's the right thing. Grab him, stop him, and let him go again. Good dog. Keep sitting down. I want to see who can get their dog back to them. Well, Tess, you're going to obviously be the winner. So take hold of your dog's collar, give them a treat, and then keep them by your side. You've got Jasmine. Sit down. Now, be quiet, everybody. Now, I want you to look around the room and see the people that have their dogs. Now, I think you had a free ride with Tess. You had a bit of luck with Jazz. The other dogs, we've been calling them, they couldn't care less if you are on the moon or in this room. Your dogs are out of control now. This could happen in the park if your dog meets another dog to play with. It's out of control. And if that dog runs across the road, your dog will go too. So just think about it before you let your dogs off leash, okay? You can let a trained dog off leash, but an untrained dog won't be alive for long. Okay, the rest of you go and grab your dogs and bring them back to your place. Thank you, Grosh. Good. Back to your place. Good. And give them a treat when you take the collar. Now remember, the dogs are playing, and that's fun for the dogs. And so when you take them by their collar, that's a drag. So let's soften the blow. You take the collar, you give them a treat. Otherwise they think, oh, if we get to play, when the owners come up and take us by the collar, it's the end of the play session. Some dogs even think it's the end of the world. But we got a big surprise for them, we're going to let them go play again. So let's have them go play again. Yep, we get another crazy play session. Good. All right, now, hands up, anybody who asked their dog to ask them, please may I go play? Was there anyone here who had their dog sit before they let it off leash? Put your hand up. Keep it up in the air. Well done, well done, well done, well done. Good owners. The rest of you, bad owners. This is the biggest reward in the world that we're giving, a play session. So let's go sit, down, sit, go play. Or down, go play. Or sit, go play. But at least something. So let's all take hold of our dogs again. Okay, just take hold of them. That's a good dog. And back to your places. Right, let's go back and evaluate again. How many people, when you were calling your dogs then, called it more than once? Put your hands up. I would say if you called the dog once and it's not coming, what would make you think if you call it again it will come? You could have gone on, if I'd left you alone, probably for 3 hours, going, Rover, come, Rover, come, Rover, come. You're out of control. Just think about it, please. Before you let your dog off leash, could you call it back if it met another dog to play with? If it met a deer in the forest? If it met a squirrel going up a tree? Could you call it back?
Benson, come. Come on, Benson. Come on then.
You know, there's a veterinary term for this.
Benson, come on.
PID syndrome, park-induced deafness. It's only a temporary condition, though. Young Benson's thinking, I bet Mum's real proud of me. I'm doing just what she wants. I'm socialising.
Benson, Benson, come. Come on. Benson.
Uh-oh, this is just like class.
Come on,
I think the play
Benson.
session's over.
Benson, come here. Benson. Come on.
Oh my word, is that my mum? I wonder how long she's been calling.
Please be careful where your dogs are off leash. You can let them off leash in your garden, in an enclosed tennis court, in enclosed and safe spaces. All right, let's let them off leash again properly this time. And go play. As soon as they sit, you can let them off leash. Nice, thank you, Tessa's owner. Good. Now that was really nice. Shogun wanted to play there with Indigo. Our paw comes up, and then along comes Grolsch, and whoa, let's run for cover. Let's get in the fireplace quickly. That's really nice here. Tess has met a friend, Chico, Mr. Sociable, who's socialized just about every dog in class, I think. If we let dogs play like this, unattended, what will happen very, very quickly is, yes, we get socialized dogs. That's good. If we had dogs that were a little shy or aggressive beforehand. So it really is a saving grace for dogs like Sophie, Shogun, Tess, dogs that were hiding and not playing. However, once they start to play like this, if you let them do this unattended, the dog will very quickly learn, you know, there's two things in life: play with other dogs without dad and mum, and training with dad and mum. And the dog thinks, I think I'd rather play with dogs. Now this will work against us. And what you'll find is we call the dog when it's playing and the dog says, no way, you think I'm stupid? I mean, I know that if I come to you, you're going to put me on leash and take me home. So what we've got to do is to turn that distraction, play, into a reward. And that's what we're going to start doing right now. Now, it's the first time we're doing this. It is going to be a pantomime. So don't worry if it doesn't work. What we're going to do here is I'm going to pick an owner, and I want you to ask your dog to come. If it comes, praise it, give it a treat, drop down on your knees, kiss it, and tell it go play immediately. All I want you to do is to take its collar, tell it to go play. If it doesn't come, I want you to do your best to tell it to come. Whatever you do when you're serious, whether you shout, Rover! Ah! Come here. You've got to get the dog to look at you. What if we ask the dog to come, Rover come, and then we tell it to come, Rover!
Rover, come.
And the dog just goes, what are we going to do then? I want one person per dog at that point to run and grab your dog and crouch down beside it. Rover didn't come, and so Rover ruined the play session. There are no dogs to play with. And the dog will learn this. If you don't come, the play session ends. So we need the cooperation of everyone. This has never worked first time, so don't worry. When he comes to you, I don't care how long it takes, take his collar and smile. Good dog, Andy. There's a good dog. Good dog. Go play. Why? Because then he will come quicker the next time. You never, ever, ever, ever punish a dog when it comes when called. When that dog comes to you and you've got his collar, you say, thank you. If you punish him for whatever reason, the next time it will take longer. Okay? Right, let's call Murphy.
Murphy! Murphy! Here! Murphy! Come! Murphy!
What are you meant to do, folks? Grab your dogs, yes.
Where's mine?
Keep calling, Mum. Keep the pressure up with Murphy.
Come on!
Wait, come on, son. Murphy, hey. Woo, 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 woo. Good dog, thank you. There's a good dog. Go play. Oh, too late, forget it. There we go. Get some energy here, okay? This could be an emergency. All right? And what I'm going to do is, we're going to rerun Murphy. First, I'll give you Murphy's dialogue. Murphy, 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 come. Not bad. You actually ask the dog to do something on the third command. Most people go to their, say to their dogs, Rover, 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 Rover. The dog says, look, I know my name. Shut up. I'm playing. I'm sniffing. Leave me alone. If you want the dog to do something, ask it. Say, Murphy, come. If it doesn't do it, tell it. Murphy, come. And then everyone will help you out. Let's call Jake.
Jake, come! Jake, come!
Everybody grab your dogs, quickly. Keep calling Jake.
Jake, come!
Put food on his nose, back up. Mind backing up. Waggle that food, get him to come. Just 2 yards. Take his collar, give him the food, say go play. Excellent, forget the sit. Come here, take the collar, go play. Very nice. Now, excellent dialogue. Playback of perfect dialogue. Jake, come.
Jake,
Come. Okay? You asked him nicely, and he went. So you repeated it, but with some urgency, which is what I would call an instructive reprimand. We're trying to get him to boogie. He still went. So then everybody grabs their dogs. You hustled. What you've got to do when you get there is get the dog's attention, food on the nose, then back up. Just 2 yards, take the collar, get the food, say go play. The dog only has to come 2 yards. But what happened there was you did about a 30-foot recall, and Jake did 0.
Yeah.
So if you go to all the trouble to run across the floor to Jake, at least get him to do 6 feet. All right, let's call Jake again.
Jake, come! Jake, come!
Good dog, praise him, please come.
Jakey,
Food on the nose.
Jake.
Good dog, very nice. He then did a 1-foot recall. That's not bad. If you backed up 6 feet, you would have got a 6-foot recall. The hardest bit is to get the dog to look at you, and the next hardest bit is to get the dog to take 1 step towards you. So once you've got the dog's attention, because everyone's helped you out and grabbed their dogs, and he's come 1 step towards you, hey, go the whole hog. Let's go back a couple of yards. And as long as you're active and, oh, he's a good dog, good dog, good dog, good dog, good dog, the dog will come. Tell your dogs to go play. What we're going to do now is we're going to play Pass the Puppy. Okay? Yeah, it's not a party game. It's a serious exercise. When you have a dog, one of the things you get duped into thinking is your dog's fine. Isn't he wonderful? That's because he's fine and wonderful with you. And all you've got to do is change the person who's handling him. Could be your friend, could be your father-in-law, and the dog spooks. To get the dog used to that, it's a very nice, fun game where we just invite people over to the house and we pass the dog from one to the other. And we're going to do nothing but just handle them, gentle them, calm them down. So I want you to get a treat out, or 2 treats in your hand, and I'll show you with Grosh here what we want to do. Okay? Touch the dog and we show him a treat. We look in this ear. That's very dirty, Grosh. We look in that ear. Gets another treat. We hold his paw. Okay? Feel the rear end. We give him a treat. And that's it. And what the dog's learnt there is, isn't it fun being handled? Isn't it fun when people look in your ears and they hold your paws? Okay? Now, of course, it should be fine when you do it, but it's the fact that a stranger's doing it. What we're obviously doing here is preparing the dog for a visit to the veterinarian. When you go to see a veterinary surgeon, your dog doesn't even have to be nasty to make it difficult for the veterinary surgeon. They just have to be wriggly. If the dog is wriggly, it takes forever to examine it.
Whee! There you go, son. That's it. Hold him. It's a bit raw inside there. We'll have a look at the other one if we can, Ruth. Both ears are rather sore. You may need some treatment for those ears first of all, actually.
May need some treatment for his wriggliness, if you ask me. Then you fold one ear back. Just fold it right back. Like she had a foxtail, a grass seed down there. We look in. It's very important that we get the dog used to having its ear messed with before it has an ear inflammation, because that's going to be a little tricky. All right, let's pass the dogs to the left again. So be real slow with Benson, that's it. Good dog, yeah. Look in the ear, offer a treat again. That's it. Very nice. Good dog. There's a good dog. Very nice. Okay. And you see how every time you reach up here, he backs off. So it's not your dog, this isn't Tess. We have to be really slow. So we're not going to reach for the top of the head yet until we get Benson in real close. He's a good dog, okay. Good dog, that's it. So you can sort of examine him under here, just touch him, fingers in his mouth and this sort of stuff. Alrighty, pass your dogs one to the left again. That's good. Line him down. We get him real calm. He's a good dog. Give him a little treat again. Oh, this is wonderful. You've got the idea. We look in this ear. There we go. Good. Let's look in the ears again, shall we? Yeah. Okay, and feel the dog's rear end. Just check it up. We're not being weird here or anything, but, you know, people have to examine it. We don't want the first person to touch the dog's rear end being a veterinary surgeon in the clinic, or the dog may take offense. So we do that sort of stuff.
There's Helga.
Live weights, right?
Yeah, 70, 80 pounds a Doberman there. Yeah, sweetheart, if you'd like to sit, we just check this eye of yours, because that seems to be the problem. You can see that, Ian? Just inside the third eye, that little lump that's poking out there, that's probably what we're going to have to operate on. How long's it been there now?
About 3 days.
Yeah, sweetheart. Just check her over, because sometimes there are other problems. Nothing inside the jaws at all, no little tumours. Everything's fine down there. Jolly good.
A lot easier than that last dog.
Much easier, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes when they're like that, the other dog, we to have a full examination if there's a problem with the ears or the throat or whatever, and we can't get near them. We can't open the mouth like Helga here, who'll stay like that quite happily all day. We have to give them an anaesthetic.
It's so silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just a little bit of training. Yeah, this is a real well-trained dog.
Thank you.
Done a bit of work with her. And I don't care how easy it is to handle Chico or Tess or Sophie, you keep working at it and working at it and working at it. And never fall into that trap that you think your dog's wonderful. Why? Because you're the person handling it. What you've got to do is to watch your dog when someone else is touching it.